think I am. I can't believe you believe in that man. We disagree, but I still give a damn. Your guru assures if you follow his regimen, you will become a most excellent specimen. The power to live on and on for all days is right at your fingertips if someone pays.
Check.
Who says that his
Check. There you go.
alive for 3 easy installments of $10.95. The device he uses sucks out the...
This is Baxter.
This is Bryan.
I
guess gestures don't work.
I guess we do each other's bios, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to do yours first?
Yeah, just
I'll do mine.
shut up and talk.
I am Baxter. Should I say Rocky Mountain Paranormal? Bryan and Baxter. We'll go with Bryan and Baxter. That's kind of our brand right now. Is Bryan and Baxter. That's how we're known. In the believer world, we're known as the guys from Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research Society. That way, we have a friendly face for the believers to come and have their dreams squashed. But I've been with Bryan for about 8 years, I guess. Yeah, about 8 years.
He feels great about that.
Longest relationship I've ever had.
But yeah, it's been a great relationship because I was in a group that was a paranormal believer group, and I kept debunking all of their evidence until they finally kicked me out of the group. But they always talked about this other guy in town that was always invoking like the Occam's razor and stuff like that. He was a complete jerk, you know. So after they kicked me out, I sought out the jerk, and it's true, he's a jerk.
Yes, I am.
So,
I try.
nice work.
Well, and kind of differently, I saw what other groups were doing out there and thought it was absolutely stupid. Looking at what they're putting forth as evidence, it's like, how can you believe this? So rather than join one of them and try and twist them around, it's just like, okay, we're going to start one and do it right from the beginning. And 15 years later, here we are.
It's an interesting thing. I'd have to say that, in a sense, The Exorcist is what got me into paranormal research. And I know that The Exorcist helped out Catholicism quite a bit. A lot of people were breaking down the doors of the church after that movie. It had a little bit of an opposite effect on me. I saw The Exorcist when I was 11, and I thought, crap, this girl's 13 years old. I've got 2 years before I get possessed. So
It was actually a lot longer. It was last year.
yeah, it took a while longer. Well, and the reason is because I decided that I was going to know my enemy, so I started researching everything I could. That's when I saw that all the research out there was conflicting information. After a while, I realized it was opinion. And
This is still when you were 11?
yeah. So I began to learn that these things don't really exist, do they? You know, I decided to do my own research, and that was, you know, over the course of years, I more and more started realizing that there actually exists all this stuff out there that they say there is. So a lot of people were converted by The Exorcist. I was actually ejected. So, oh well.
I was partially raised by a nun, and she really didn't push a lot of religion on me, but she explained it to me, which is enough to just make you not go into it.
Right.
Which was fun. You were talked out of something that drove people into the church, and I was talked out by somebody in the church. But that's something that kind of makes us different too. If you talk to a lot of people that are in the paranormal biz, most of them are like, well, I grew up in a haunted house. When I was 7 years old, I had my first experience. Not here. It's just, if they start telling you that, they're lying to you. It's that simple. No, they didn't.
Just walk away.
I had goofy, unexplainable things happening to me as a kid too. Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. they were all real.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't continue believing in them and investigating them into adulthood. So. I grew up on horror movies and sci-fi movies, and the whole genre interested me, and then I was realizing that people are making these claims that this sort of stuff is real. And I couldn't just go, oh yeah, that's real, because to me, this was stuff that was made up for movies. So the more I looked at it, I'm like, well, let's break it down and figure it out, see what we can actually find out, rather than just jump to a conclusion and assume what it is.
Yeah, we did the
Courthouse?
Weld County Courthouse.
See, the nice thing about getting into the whole ghost hunting thing is there's a really bizarre phenomenon that takes place. People will invite you into their homes or businesses, or in this case, the county seat court building, and give you the keys and walk away. Us.
I used to have really long black hair and mustache and goatee. Together, we looked
Yeah.
not like the kind of people you'd invite into your house.
No, it's
And
like,
yet
here's-
people did.
Here's the county courthouse. Lock up when you're done. Or here's my house for the evening. I don't get it. I mean, I'm glad because it gave us the opportunity to keep other people out of the picture while we were trying to figure things out. But at the same time, I don't get it because I wouldn't trust us in my house.
I still don't trust you in my house. We love just about any claim.
Any-
As
any
stupid as it
challenge.
is, we had the floating jellyfish in one house.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what?
There was
We
a
had
guy
a
with,
demon panda
That's
in a
true.
house. That was a good one.
lots of UFO claims that we've started.
Wait, I want to hear about the demon panda. That's that one.
It's
is it-
better with the visuals
Okay.
that she sent us.
Okay.
She sent us a bunch of photographs from her house. She was taking pictures, and when she got them back from the studio, this is back when people used film, there was a demon panda
Demon panda.
in her house.
Well,
And you can see it in the pictures, it's got these big, cute demon panda eyes, and
Well, and the thing was, not only was it a demon panda, but she had a very thick conspiracy theory that went with it too.
Sure. You
That
got
it may not be a demon panda, it may have been that the photo lab is secretly putting these things in pictures to scare people. But she wasn't sure.
that keeps the government in control.
Exactly.
it. Well, always consider the government.
So at that point, she sent it to us to figure out if it was a demon or something that the photo lab had put into her photograph.
Because those are the only two options.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumb and dumber. That's the two options.
Well, do you see how, step aside here, this chair, now it looks like it's just a solid color, but it's not. Because of the highlights from the lights hitting it, shadows, there's actually a bunch of different colors here. Now if this chair had, say, 2 buttons right here, you would get some interesting pareidolia to think that maybe you had a face looking back at you.
Yep,
She took a picture of her own office chair and thought it was a demon panda. That's the moral of the story. So, next
And
question.
How did that go? I'm not done with this one. How did that conversation go that you said, "Hi, crazy lady"?
We just had to basically explain to her,
Very
This is your
gently.
chair.
you took a photograph of your desk chair.
It's kind of an it was hard, because are you kidding us? Because, you can see the eyes when especially when you're prepped for
You
it.
get primed for it
Of
and look
course.
at it, there are eyes there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you naturally would see.
Yeah.
So he hands me the picture, and I looked at it, and I'm like, it's an office chair with a plant kind of above it in a weird way. And he's like, okay, that's what I thought. She thinks it's a demon panda. So getting a hold of her and talking to her about this was a gentle process.
But it isn't always.
No.
A good example of that, we were sent a photograph of a woman's bedroom. She lives alone, and she's terrified of this tendrilled creature.
It kind of looked like another floating jellyfish.
Yeah, it really did kind of have a jellyfish feel to it. And she's freaked out, she's saying that she's praying the rosary every hour on the hour, and she's blessed the house, and on. And she's actually changed the file name of the image to as praying. So I look at it and realize what it is and reproduce it and send it back to her. No explanations. I said, what do you think of this? She's like, you have one too. Then I sent back an email and said, okay, now that you see I have one too, you took a picture of your hair. And it was just her hair dangling in front of the camera. And she says, thank you for explaining that to me. If you would have just told me it was my hair off the top, I wouldn't have believed you. But by reproducing it and showing it to me rather rudely, she understood what it was. But yeah. So at that point, this training idea was what we came up with. So we want to be able to go in and train people and hit them with scenarios. You go into a house, this is what somebody claims, this is what you see. What do you think it is? What do you do?
Yeah, what's the right, psychological approach for this? So we've been working with psychiatrists and psychologists to get our facts correct, in terms of how to approach this. And so we're hoping to get this released within a year and start doing some training with the police departments and stuff like that. We really do, we cover any realm of paranormal, supernatural, pseudoscience, cryptozoology, UFOs. We cover everything we can. We are there for people to, come to us.
Sure.
So, and that's why I think we got pulled into, Vanacek came to us and asked us to help with the $1 Million Challenge several years ago. We're not doing anything with it this year on the helping side. Not maybe more on the destructive side. We'll see how the night goes. But it's been a really fun trip for us. We never know what's going to happen next. DJ, for some insane idea, thought it'd be a good idea to have us be entertainers this year.
Sure.
What the hell's wrong with the guy?
But it was set up on the idea of this. He's like, so do you think you can do it? Yes. What will you do? We don't know, but it'll be brilliant. That's all we gave him. And he's like, yeah, come on over. And hopefully it worked. So.
That was a good show.
There's been no cuffs yet. So.
Yet.
There's enough people here who can break out of those and no problem.
That's true. We're not them. You may be aware that Ben Radford declared that he had solved the Chupacabra mystery.
Sure.
He had slain the Chupacabra. What a load of crap. You cannot solve an overarching subject. A case you might be able to solve, but you can still have people saying, are you sure that's how it happened? You can really say, this is another perspective of how things probably went, or this is probably what it is.
Each case has to be looked at individually because everything has its own weird little backstory.
Yeah, and that's the big problem that we're seeing is he's bouncing around the world claiming he's solved it, that he's slain it, and it's like, so did you learn nothing from being a skeptic?
Right.
Did you learn absolutely nothing from understanding what logical fallacies are? Or are you just a complete moron? And you don't have to edit that out if you don't want. It's a very frustrating thing because then we have guys like him and Joe Nickel that go around saying that people like us shouldn't be doing the stakeouts, overnights with all the equipment and everything that we bring in. They don't understand. Well, because those are the things don't find ghosts. Ghosts aren't real anyway.
Yeah,
so
why bother?
Why would you
I
take
see.
that? So all you have to do is do some research on the property, find out some history, and then say, well, no, there's no ghost there because I looked at it in a book or an old record and found out that a murder never happened there or something like that, which is a very important part of research.
Sure.
I will not discount that. That's a huge part of what we do.
Right, history is a huge deal, especially at these big historic locations you go to. But there's two reasons in general that we use the equipment that people are expecting us to use. Number one, they're expecting us to use it. If you call us into your home and you have a general mindset of what's going to happen because you've seen the paranormal TV shows. But on the other hand, we have training in the equipment that we do use, and we use it for different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
We use it for monitoring and documenting the location. Is there a high electromagnetic field that's causing some sort of a brain problem?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a low frequency hum that can cause an issue with people? 10 to 12 hertz, it'll drive you nuts. I know, I've personally witnessed that.
Yeah, and that's the problem is a lot of these houses have this going on and the occupants don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They can't feel it, they don't know, and they start having religious experiences. They start feeling these feelings of dread, somebody's
Right.
watching them, that,
Yeah.
they start seeing shadow people out of the corner of their eyes because the fluid in their eyes are vibrating, and it's all this stuff. And so yes, we have to go in and find this stuff out, but the real bottom line is we're not going in to find ghosts with this equipment.
Mm-hmm.
We're always, when we do these investigations, education is our number one priority. Not solving the mystery, but being able to show the people that have expectations, giving them the truth. That's the most important thing.
But at the same time, we're one of the few groups on either side that are willing to say, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If there's just not enough data to come up to a conclusion, I'm not going to say, well, you have a ghost because we can't explain
Sure.
it. We don't know. There's not enough information, so that's where we have to let it hang.
And we are stubborn. We will continue to keep our cases open until information comes along. A Nepalese restaurant where this chair seemed to defy gravity. We caught it on video, even though we shouldn't have been using cameras or doing a stakeout.
Of course.
The camera was, trained on this one area, and this chair, the front legs lifted up and moved over. Now, the thing that was interesting is there was a purpose. Because when a chair moves or something moves in a room, you have to go, well, what's the MO? Why? There's never a good motivation for a ghost to do the things that people claim they do.
Well, that's a
the
good
ghost
question.
showed up as an orb.
Yeah.
Why? What would they be communicating if there were ghosts? So the thing is this one actually had a motivation behind it, and that is at the bottom. These tables had one leg in the center that went down to the floor, and then there was like a large iron disc. Is it like this one?
There's no disc, but yeah.
Okay, and the disc on the floor is about this thick, and iron, and but also had these like ornate loops
It's
and
a
stuff
wrought
in
iron
it.
base.
So the front feet of the chair can actually fit inside some of those loops and sit flush on the floor. Problem is, if a customer comes up and pulls that chair out, they can hurt themselves or break the chair. Now, it's believed that there's a ghost named Cora in this restaurant that used to live there when it was a house, and she's a helpful ghost. She helps out a lot. Now, the staff knows they've been ordered to always balance the feet of the chair up on the iron rather than letting it slip down in. I didn't know that. When I shoved the chair in, I didn't pay attention to that and walked out of the room. As soon as I walked out of the room, the legs lift up and over onto the iron. And we got it on video. It was amazing. It was the coolest thing ever. So the first thing we did is we invited all the area skeptics to come to dinner at this restaurant. We showed them the video, we showed them the room and the chair, and said, help us figure this out.
Right.
So we had people bringing metal detectors because they thought we were punking them and everything, and that's understandable. The best explanation we got is that
And who did that come from?
it came from Rich Orman.
There you go.
There was a window near the chair, and he was fairly certain that a midget climbed in through the window, went under the table, moved the chair back out the window. Now, unfortunately,
Which is just as likely as
actually,
a ghost.
it's more likely than a ghost. That is more plausible.
We know there's midgets.
So, via Occam's razor, we had it solved.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So we could jump right to that conclusion, but the thing is we simply didn't have enough information. So it took us 2 years of trying things, getting ideas, trying them, abandoning them, and circling back and trying them again. And we finally figured it out. And it was a camera angle and a chair that wobbled that gave the illusion It's like you see this amazing magic trick, and then they reveal how they did it, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
That was it?
Uh-huh.
That's how this was for us. It was like we figured it out. It was a wobble. But that was a frustrating one, but that's how we are. We will keep something open until we solve it. We will never say something is a ghost just because we don't have enough information. That's stupid.
And if we find a ghost, we're going across the hallway here and talk to Randy.
$1 million.
Exactly.
That's that motivation.
Mhm.